everybody. My name is Chastity Hansen, and I decided to present on Chapter 7, Counseling Microskills of Erford's Orientation to the Counseling Profession, Advocacy, Ethics, and Essential Professional Foundations Textbook. What are microskills in counseling? According to Erford, microskills represent a set of verbal and behavioral responses that facilitate the process of counseling and alliance formation, regardless of professional counselors' theoretical orientations. So technically what this means is that these are tools that can be used in any type of counseling and should be to help the client feel more comfortable, regardless of the therapeutic approach that the counselor may take place in. Erford also explained that they are organized in a hierarchical framework designed by Ivy et al. In 2017. Although micro may mean small, these are small skills that make a huge difference in therapeutic relationship and within the sessions. The first set on the hierarchical model would be attending skills, and these basic attending skills include eye contact, body position, and tone of voice. They are placed at the bottom of the hierarchical model, but that doesn't technically mean they're less important. In the survey done by Bedai in 2006, it showed that after validation and education, that nonverbal gestures, presentation, and body language were what the clients looked at to decide if they wanted to continue on with this therapy or with their sessions. This can be seen in the SOLAR acronym, and it means the S standing for sit squarely, don't be crossing your legs, an open posture, be towards your client, having open arms, gestures, leaning in slightly to show that you're engaged in the conversation and really paying attention, eye contact, a huge one, and then relaxing with your client. The first one is eye contact, and it's crucial for a counselor to maintain good eye contact so the client knows that they're fully engaged and focused on them. This doesn't mean to just stare your client straight in the face. There's obviously going to be natural breaks in eye contact, and it's up to the counselor to see whether the client is comfortable with more or less eye contact and to adjust that throughout the session. Erford also pointed out that culture may affect the amount of eye contact that's preferred, whether if that makes them feel more or less respected, or it's just their comfortability level not looking somebody straight in the eyes, which it's the counselor's job to kind of gauge that. The next one is body position, and it's important for a counselor to sit in a position to make the client feel comfortable. This is the main component of that SOLAR acronym I talked about earlier: the square hips, open posture, slightly leaning in, and relaxed. The physical distance between the client and counselor are also extremely important, because you don't know whether the client may feel invaded if you're too close to them, or feel distant if you're too far away. The next one is tone of voice, and it's the pitch, pacing, and volume of a counselor's voice that should be considered and change whenever a client responds. It's pointed out that even in a regular conversation, someone may respond differently just based on the tone of voice that they're spoken to in. Erford gave an example on vocal emphasis with clients to make them feel more heard and understood, so that you can emphasize that that's how they made them feel. So, for example, you are very hurt by your partner's actions, and you were very hurt by your partner's actions. The next step on the hierarchical sequence is the basic listening sequence, and this is skills such as open and closed questions, paraphrasing, reflection of feelings, reflective meaning, and summarizing. These skills are relevant to show that the client understands what's being told, the counselor understands what's being told to them, and so that the counselor understands the client's story, and that's represented and showed to the client. There is quite a few of these, but the most interesting I found was open and closed questions and the interchangeable use of these within the session, and that having to be gauged by the counselor. So, for example, open questions cause a client to talk longer, they get more detailed responses, and they gain control of the conversation. they often start with what, how, could, would, or why. However, Erford also made a point where you have to be careful when using why questions because it may cause the client to try to find a reasoning for the things that happened in their life, and that's not always possible, and it could cause pressure. An example of an open question would be you say you feel insecure about your relationship. Can you tell me more about this? Another important point to make about open questions is that you want to avoid questions where the client may feel that they should respond a certain way. So, for example, instead of saying, you don't feel suicidal, do you? Then you could word that differently to make them respond in the way that they truly feel. Closed questions are used whenever counselors are looking for concrete answers. This can be a yes or no question or a specific date and age that something happened to them that they were discussing. It helps a counselor put the client's story together. And it helps the client to know that you're really paying attention and you want to know all the details. An example of this would be you say that you feel your life fell apart after your breakup. How long ago was this? Because technically there can only be one correct answer, and it's going to be a straight up yes or no or date or something that puts a story together. And that is all. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed learning about Microskills.